Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You are made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so great because of our amazing guest. Her name is Rhea Lana Riner, and she is the founder and CEO of Rhea Lana's Children's Consignment Events, a franchise with 120 locations across 26 states. What began as a living room clothing swap in 1997 has grown into a multi-million-dollar business that helps families access affordable children's items while empowering women through entrepreneurship. Rhea Lana lives in Conway, Arkansas with her husband, Dave, and enjoys time with their 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Y'all, put your hands together for Rhea Lana Riner. Hey, Rhea Lana.
Hi, Renee. It is so fun to be with you today.
Thank you so much for being here. I read a little bit about your story, and let me tell you, I was truly inspired. And I have a couple of clients that are franchise owner operators, and I was like, y'all are missing the boat. Y'all need to have one of these, because I'm telling you, the lives that get changed by the model that you have set up for women to get into business. Even they may not have, well, I won't share all the secrets, but I'm just saying you're on to a great thing.
Well, thanks for saying that. It has been a blessing to me and my family. And I love franchising, and I love entrepreneurship, and I love moms.
Yes. Well, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So tell us a little bit about the clothing swap part. Like before you even got started and made this a business. How did you even come up with the idea to swap clothes with people?
Well, Renee, I was a struggling mom. I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 young children, and we were trying to get from paycheck to the paycheck, the next paycheck. But the problem was I wasn't making it. And I was just trying to, honestly, I wasn't trying to start a business. I was just trying to make it. And as moms, we want to give our kids beautiful things. We feel it helps us to feel like we're good moms. And I had always loved garage sailing and shopping for bargains. And so really it just made sense. And I was that mom that was looking for good finds and looking for a good and smart way to do it. So that's really how it started.
Wow. Well, and that is just pure genius, because how many of us, when, we're first getting started as new moms and, our husbands are working hard and they're, trying to make sure all of the lights stay on and we have food on the table and things like that. And any extra income that we as wives can bring in is just helpful and kind of helps lighten that load and reduce some of that burden. And so for you to have this idea that maybe having a clothing swap could be the way to get some nice things for your kids, I just think that is brilliant. And so when you first started it, was it because the circle of people that you were hanging around, their kids had nice clothes and you were like, oh yeah, I'd like for my kid to have that?
I think it was mostly we were just all average moms doing the things
Mhm.
that moms do, and I think we've all always valued those iconic brands, and we're always looking for how can we find that great brand for only at 75% off. So I think really that was it. We were all just average moms, and I just kind of thought it was smart because kids do grow through things so quickly, and those clothes would still be in good shape. And so really we could just buy and sell each other's things and we're all saving money at the same time. And so really I thought, and also I would find when I would have a garage sale, when I would want to sell things that my kids no longer needed, if I would want to put $5 on my daughter's dress, a shopper would come and want to pay 5 cents, and I knew it was worth more than just a nickel. And so I think that I felt like I had a community of moms that we all valued each other's things, that we could buy and sell each other's things at the similar price points and all help each other.
Right, right. That is so good. And so great that you had that community of support. And Christelle says, "Hey, Renee and Rhea Lana." And she also says, "Empowering moms with the strong arms." I love that. Thank you. Yes, we are all about the moms here today, because being a mom in itself is tough, but when you have a community of other tough moms getting together, then there's unstoppable, just unstoppable. And I
It's
love
true.
that.
Moms are the best problem solvers on the earth, right? We spend all
Yeah.
day, every day solving the next problem, whatever it is.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And to have that community of support, it can like literally I won't say make or break you, but if you try to operate as a mom in this world, especially if you're like maybe a stay-at-home mom or even a working mom, and you don't have that community of support to encourage you and say, keep on going, you can do this, you got this, you were made for this. You're cheerleaders. You need a community of cheerleaders to help you sometimes stay strong. And then sometimes you need to be the cheerleader for somebody else.
Well, and I really agree with that. And it reminds me of when I was doing these events in the early days, they grew because so many moms were also trying to buy and sell each other's things. And the events honestly kind of got out of control. And I wanted to quit so many times because they were bigger than anything I had ever dreamed. It was exhausting. And I remember that community of moms around me that said, Rhea Lana, we'll help you. Please keep going. We'll help you. So to this day, I would not be here if there hadn't been just those circle of moms. They were just a lot of them at the time were stay-at-home moms, who just really valued what we were building together.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's so good. And Angela Reed James, 7772 says she definitely could have used this when her kids were younger. We had so many clothes that others could have benefited from. So, and that's typically the case, right? Usually when we're moms, kids grow so fast. So fast. You might find some things in the closet still have tags on them because they grew before they could even put them on.
It's true, and I feel like that's what I'm oftentimes educating moms on is look around your house. You've got some valuable things in your house. And so sure, give them away if you want to, but you really could sell those things. And not only are you helping the environment, but you're blessing another family at the same time.
That's right. And now I want to go a little bit deeper, and I don't hope I don't sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but because I've done the yard sale thing, it's so much work. I've been to a clothing swap for grown-ups and women. It was a fundraiser for breast cancer walk in October. Or August, one of the ladies would have a fundraiser, and it would be a clothing swap where women could come and bring a bag of clothes and donate $20 and take home whatever they could fit in another bag. and that was the clothing swap. Now, as you were doing this in your house and it got so big, how did you manage the logistics of it all? Like, what was your first pop-up or brick and mortar place where you went, and how did you get all that set up?
Well, it started in my living room, Renee. It started in my living room, and I've always been a bit of a perfectionist. I have to say, I had zero marketing experience, zero business, zero marketing, but I really did care about the logistics side of it, and I wanted everything to be perfect. And so that very first sale in my living room, I had 11 women who let me sell their things, and I was so excited. So they were my first consigners, and we had these beautiful little string tags, and I wanted it to look like a boutique, so I brought in all these clothing racks. And that was always my desires. I wanted to help moms feel special because I'd been to the garage sales too, and you have to dig through piles of junk to find the one nice thing. And so what
Mhm.
I was looking forward to doing is creating this wonderful experience where moms could feel special and valued as they were still shopping secondhand. Now, this was in 1997, so a while ago. But after that very first sale, my husband actually wrote some software, which is not a big deal now because everything is computerized. But back in the 90s, most stay at home moms didn't even have computers in their houses. But we were able to build a database early on, and it helped us to track every single item. And so then, all the way to today, we were able to guarantee every item, and we were able to give a mom a report of exactly what sold, because that had also been part of my experience when I had sold things in a consignment store. Like, those are wonderful venues, but I kind of felt like for me, my items dropped into a big black hole, and I didn't know how much they were
Mm,
selling for, and I wanted
mm,
to know how much did each piece sell for. And so that's what we were able to offer through our customized software, is they could tell a mom exactly how much her items had sold for. And then I think through the years, as it would grow, I would just focus on the next little problem. In our business, it's a pop-up event business. And so it is kind of good. You could just focus on it twice a year. And that really fit as I was a mom and raising my family. And so each time I'd focus on the next little thing to fix. But it stayed in my home for a couple of years because that was, free rent. And I was just trying to figure this little thing out. But
mhm.
gradually, the neighbors kind of complained, and it exploded because it had taken over every room in our house. And so then we just began to find empty retail spaces around town. And
Okay. Got you. So, and usually in those empty retail spaces, they'll generally let you have those spaces for little to nothing because they're empty anyway, right? And it's just any source of revenue coming in for the space.
well, it depends. I mean, that's a whole nother story. But thankfully, you kind of you would be surprised how many leasing companies will not lease to us. But the ones who are smart will, because we are bringing in traffic to their empty retail spaces. But that's how it started. It was just a really small empty space. And then I would move around town to the next big empty space. And so
Mm,
and it was really fun to then create these little pop up marketplaces for families.
yeah. Oh, that does sound like fun. And so, what challenges did you face then balancing motherhood with building a whole company?
Well, lots of challenges, right? We're all trying to balance all the things, especially
Mhm.
I was a stay-at-home mom, and then I would go to this huge event. And so I'd forget the normal things. I had a birthday party that I would forget to take one child to, or there's no groceries in the refrigerator and the laundry wasn't done. But the cool thing is, over time, my capacity increased, and I was able to figure out how to balance it, and be a good mom and run the events. And so it really was great. And I loved my kids being able to watch their mom become a problem solver. When
Mhm.
what I really want to do sometimes is lay on the floor and cry, but that doesn't help anything. I
Mhm.
was instead finding solutions. And then my kids were able to watch their mom build something. And I think it helped them value hard work and understand even more that money doesn't just grow on trees, that we have to
Mhm.
work for it. But there were, quite a few challenges. But in the end, I loved those challenges. And I think it helps all of us to become more well-rounded when we can combine those things of being a mother and entrepreneurship and work.
Right. Now, you said something that I'm still kind of stuck there. And you said, over time, my capacity increased. And usually, when a founder is building a business, over time, their capacity diminishes because of the growth of the business. How did your capacity increase?
Well, it definitely, there were some years when I was working a lot. I also went through a season where I was battling the government and I still only had a few employees and I was wearing 10 hats and I was
Mhm.
literally working 60, 80, 100-hour weeks. So I don't want to minimize that. I mean, that is part oftentimes of being a founder of a growing company and you can only afford so much. And those years stretched me and they did stretch me. But the cool thing is if you can get through those things, you really do get to the other side and you realize you're wiser, you're a better leader, you've had to do things you've never done before, but actually you can do way more than you thought you could. And so I think that's one of the things that I've learned in leadership that I would love to encourage women is that you can do more than you think you can. You do have to take a deep breath sometimes and you have to reprioritize or shift things around. But if you can get through those things, you can get to the other side and realize you have giftings that you never knew you had. And the world needs good women leaders, Renee. That's what I feel.
Mm. Oh, yes, absolutely. 100%. We can say that again for the people in the back. Because, yes, women are amazing leaders, first of all. And so we just need more really great ones. And so as you were going through those early days to get to this place of having more capacity, did you have to like start hiring people or building a team, or how long did it stay just you?
Well, yeah, gradually I was always building teams. And I think that's where an area where I've really grown is how to build a good team and what it takes to lead a good team. And so I do think it's happened over time, but part of building a good team is becoming a better leader myself and having to grow. And so I do think I spent a lot of time on my own personal growth and how could I become smarter with, I needed to get better at numbers. I
Mhm.
needed to get better at just communication skills and confidence. I was pretty insecure, to be quite honest, coming in, and I had to grow in a lot of areas. And then that gave me capacity to help the other women and men around me grow in their growth journeys as well. And so I think as you're all growing, you realize, hey, we can do hard things.
Mhm.
Our years of fighting the government were really tough. It was over this small thing with our model, but
Mhm.
the cool thing is we fought that as a company and I had my franchise owners were behind me and you get through those things and you realize, hey, we can do hard things and we can come up with solutions to hard problems. One of the other things that we actually also faced, which so many of us did, was COVID. And
Mhm.
we're in the event business and the world was having zero events during that time. But when you get through those things and it pushes you to find creative solutions and then you just realize, hey, I now have the confidence that I can find more creative solutions as they come my way. And I feel like that is what naturally builds your capacity. It builds your resilience muscle. And so things don't affect you in the same way that they used to because you have this confidence of knowing that you can get through it, that most everything is figure outable. Not everything, but most everything is.
Right, exactly, exactly, that part. So, we
Right.
just have to get through it. Just keep on trudging along, surrounding yourself with people who can help you, support you through all of that. Nia Robinson says, "Building a company while being a mom is a whole journey." Cheering for all the moms out there building something amazing. Thank you,
Mhm.
Nia. Yes, I completely agree 100% that it is a whole journey. And it takes not just a community of like minded people, but even your family too. Um,
Mhm.
uh, Before we get there, though, Angela Reed James has a question. She said, Rhea was ahead of the curve with technology in the 90s. Is she using AI to help her in her business today? And if so, how? What a great
Oh,
question from
That
Angela
is
Reed.
a great question. I am using AI and wow, what a tool. It really has only been around for a year or two, really. And I remember feeling pretty overwhelmed because we are innovative around here. It's one of our values, but you don't want to get sidetracked with technology and spend money that you don't have. And so that's one of the things that I'm always watching is how can we utilize technology in a way that we can afford afford and make sense in our business. So AI is one of those things that, ChatGPT is pretty affordable. Claude, Grok, there's several things out there that are very affordable. And yes, one of the things that has helped us the most, my marketing team uses a lot. We use it a lot for just responses for customer service, or if I'm trying to figure out a personnel issue with my team, you can get on there. You can just figure out a lot of things. Now, I think we have to remember that AI does make mistakes. Okay, so be smart, use your own brain, always double check things. We have different departments. We've got development and finance, and they all use it in different areas. But we always say double check it, because it's not perfect. But that really is a great question. And just like we all, just as moms, are using it in our everyday lives more, we are definitely every day finding ways. I think one of the things that I love the most about AI is that you can really build out your voice. And in a franchising company, we want to be so focused on our brand and our brand voice. And so that is one way that AI has helped us.
Wow, that is great. And like for consistency, to make
Yes.
sure that it's the same message, the same brand voice across all the franchises. You have 120 different stores across 26 states. And no matter which store anyone goes into, it's going to look a certain way. The advertising for the store is going to sound a certain way, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
AI is fantastic for that. So thank you, Angela Reed James, for that question. That was really fantastic. So as we talk about those franchise locations, Rhea Lana, what key decisions helped you to expand from that first event in your living room to 120 locations?
Well, Renee, I only took it little baby steps, I have to say. My husband, the reason that one of the reasons I started doing my events in the first place is my husband had left the corporate world and had gone into nonprofit work. And so our family budget had really taken a nosedive. So as I was starting this, I had to be very smart. I've never had someone give me a bunch of money. So I only grew it as I could afford to take the next step. And so franchising was just like that. And so I literally, in the summer, I would take my kids to the community pool to swim. And I had Franchising for Dummies, that book, and I would read it, and I'd had my yellow highlighter, and I just did it in bite-sized pieces to see if I could do this because for our family, I needed to do it in a low risk way. Like, will this work? And then also my sister was our first test franchise. She's younger than me. I bossed her around her whole life. And so I knew that she would, do the things the way I had done them. So again, that was just a test. Like, can I download this information out of my brain and make it duplicatable? Because that's what franchising is. Like you said before, it's done the same way in all these different locations. And so those are just some early things. And then we just started slow. And I remember thinking, I don't know if anybody will even buy a franchise. Will anybody even? But they did. And we live in Conway, Arkansas. And it was pretty cool that very quickly we sold out all the territories in Arkansas. And then we just gradually have grown since then. And so that's been our method of growth, is just gradually expanding our footprint in a very healthy way that we could do, so that we could also provide great support for our franchises as we were adding them into our system.
Wow. That deserves hand claps. Holy camoly. What you have done, Rhea Lana, that is so fantastic. And I'm super excited that, yes, I am super excited for you that you have taken over the whole Arkansas territory of what your goals were. You were able to achieve that baby step by baby step. So there's so much that you said I'm so proud of. You didn't take any money from anybody, and you only expanded as you were able to afford without taking money from somebody else. And I'm sure with each new franchise owner, there's a lesson to be learned. There's a different situation that they're going through that you hadn't experienced before, that you had to work through, that you worked through, and they were set up for success. So I am super excited for you and proud of all that you have accomplished in what you are amazing. So speaking of all of these stores, and there's so many different people, different personalities, different styles, how do you know, that somebody is going to be a good fit to thrive in this model?
Well, I think one of the things that I've learned through the years is that lots of moms who look different and do different things can be successful in franchising. And it's one of the things that I love. I think in the early years, we thought, oh, they've got to be one of those pharmaceutical sales reps. Those are the women that are, killing it and they're aggressive. And then we just, through the years now, I've been franchising for 15 years and I've realized that there are many different types of women that can do business. And that's what I love about working with women. Really, it's just about their heart and their passion. And if they want to grow and learn new things. And women are just great business people. We're so used to multitasking and we do have this nurturing spirit. And that's what business is. Business is about helping things grow. So really, I think anyone can do it. You just kind of got to decide, honestly.
Right. Wow. So it basically, there's no barrier. There is no barrier to getting into this business. If you've got air in your lungs, you qualify. Basically.
I agree. Yes.
That's what it sounds like that you're saying to me in my ears. Like even me, anybody who has a desire to do something ambitious, to be ambitious, anyone with an inkling or an ounce or a smidge of ambition can do this and be successful. So if you've got air in your lungs, you qualify. And that reminds me, so I was at a conference recently, probably in the last couple of months or so, and there was an award portion of this conference. And one of the awards was given to a woman who was a single mom. I think she had 2 kids. She owned 2 consignment stores, and she was a multimillionaire.
Wow.
And I could not, when I was a single mom, my brain couldn't even wrap itself around the idea of my name being associated with $1 million. Like, it was just impossible. Did you, or it seemed like it was like fantasy, like a pipe dream. Did you struggle with any of that at all?
Well, sure. I mean, that's a loaded question right there. I wanted to just say, first of all, that one of the things that I have loved in our franchising company is we have several single moms that they found themselves in that position. And their Rhea Lana's franchise has helped them be able to support their families and give them some options. And so I love it that you brought that up because my own sister was a single mom for so many years and I watched her work so hard and balance having 4 children. And so I think that entrepreneurship and business ownership provides some options for women who find themselves in that situation. And our business does for sure. And I would say, yes, sometimes as money comes, it is surprising. Especially if you haven't come from a place of money similar to me. But you also realize when you're running a business, money comes in, but it's also going out because every time you grow, you got to hire the next person or you've got to, buy the next building or whatever. And so you really have to manage in order to, as a business and a company grows. And honestly, one of the first books I read early on was Good to Great. And there's just this caveat that if you're not careful, you can grow yourself right out of business. And that was one of the things that I was very fearful of, that I didn't want to grow so fast that I was going to grow myself out of business. And so you just have to be careful that as the money's coming in, that you are providing the infrastructure for the long game. And I know, some people build a business just to sell it. And I'm not that kind of person. My name's on the business. This is what I do. And I want Rhea Lana's and our brand and our footprint to be around here way after I'm gone. And so I'm building it for the long run. And so I would just encourage anyone who's building a business. It might seem like there's a lot coming in, but make sure you're being wise, just like you would be with your family resources. Make sure you're saving and you're setting setting aside for when the market goes down or those things. We've got to be wise with our resources.
Right. Absolutely. And wrapping your head around the fact that the money is going to come. And if you're not a money person or your money mindset is jacked up, you need to deal with that while you're still making little money.
Well, that's really true. And honestly, that was one of the things during COVID, Renee, when, because I kind of tend to be a right brain. Most of us are either right brain or left brain. We got things we got to learn, And I remember during COVID, I thought I need to learn more about my business finances. I had great finance people, but as a CEO, sometimes you need to learn more and get in there and make sure you know where every dollar is, where it's going, coming in and how it's going out. And so, anyway, I think that's so smart and very wise. And that's been part of my journey too, of becoming wise and not depending on other people to tell me what's going on with my company financials, but make sure that I know and that I'm ultimately taking responsibility for knowing where every dollar is going.
Right. Oh, that's so smart. Very wise, because you have to know the numbers of your business. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if someone else is in charge of it and you guys are meeting every week to talk about what the numbers look like, where they are today, where they're projected to go, are you on target, what might need to shift so that you can get on target if you're behind, all these things, you may not know every single line item that goes into that, but having these discussions and staying abreast of what is happening in the business is so critically important. And I love how you said save. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen a month from now. You don't know what's going to happen next year. You always need to be saving and preparing, having that emergency fund. Someone said, I heard it said, you need at least 3 months of salary saved, or even payroll saved before you start thinking about doing other things that are outside of your normal operating things. So that is very wise counsel that you just shared about the finances of the business, because it is so critically important to the success. Know the numbers, even if you don't know all the details, know where you are. Yeah, because then from one week to the next, if you see a big dip in something, you're like, hey, where'd all the money go?
Well, you would be surprised how many businesses are really only a month or two away from going out of business. I mean, they're just hoping all their customers keep coming and they're just hoping they still, but what if they don't? And so,
Right.
you don't want to, just like you don't want to run your family that way, you don't want to run a business that way. And that can be the challenge of entrepreneurship, is just building it and just don't chase all the fancy objects. You don't have to have a fancy office or fancy, we have always prided ourselves in, as much as can, we're going to get secondhand office furniture, and we're going to be very frugal, so that hopefully the goal is to see the payout in the long term. But you got to sacrifice in the short term to see the payout in the long term.
That's right. Oh, that's quotable. Hold on. You got to sacrifice in the short term to see the payout in the long term. I love that. Those are definitely golden nuggets and words to live by, because we live in such a microwave instant gratification society, and we gotta get away from that. Like, there's benefit to planning and preparing and to being was it the ant and the grasshopper, like a fable or something, where the ant like stored away, he worked hard and stored away all the things, but the grasshopper was like hopping all around. I might be getting my fables mixed up. Anyways, I think you guys
it sounds good to me. It sounds good. I believe it.
Anyways, be the ant.
There you go.
So, Rhea Lana, what stories of transformation from moms stand out to you? I know you now have 120 different stories. Is there any one that sticks out?
Well, you're right. I do. There's so many stories, and you touched on it earlier. The ones that still bless my heart the most are, there's probably 4 in our company, or 5, or maybe 6 now, but they're women who they never thought that they would find themselves as being pretty much the sole provider of their family. And they really didn't even buy into our business with that goal. They just were kind of adding this little business because we're a side business. We're a side business. We do two seasonal pop-up events a year. But for other circumstances happened, and they found themselves having to be the sole provider and yet still wanting to be very present with their children. And so they had to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. And in our business, you don't hang a banner and everybody shows up. You've got to build it. You've got to learn, and you've got to grow, and you have to change as a person. But I can just think of several of these women who are single women who have been able to build a wonderful life for themselves, for their children, and their children are healthy. They're responsible. They help their mom with the business. They know that money didn't just grow on trees, like I like to say. And I'm just really, really especially proud of those women in our company.
Wow, that is so great. And I love how you create this opportunity for them, for all single moms, women everywhere, whether you're married or not, even if it starts out as a side hustle, owning a Rhea Lana's consignment shop. And I hope I didn't say that wrong.
You said it right. Yep, you're good. It's a mouthful.
It may start out as a side hustle and could end up very well being the thing that takes your family where you want to go. And Nia Robinson says, I remember how excited I was when I hit my first 100K. Conversations like this make the road to millions feel possible. Rhea Lana, we owe all of that to you because you make it possible with these franchises that you have created. So thank you so much.
Well, I love, when I was getting into business, I do feel like there weren't many women like me, at least that I knew. Like they're probably in Dallas and Kansas City and other big metro areas. But I remember that a woman that I read every book that I could find was Mary Kay Ash. And if you've ever have you heard of her, Renee? She was that she was just iconic. And I just read every book I could find on her. And I just felt like, because she had really pushed the glass ceiling for women in business. And I'd never been a salesperson. I'm more of an introvert, but I loved so many of her principles. And many of her principles are the ones that I had put into my own life. And so I'm always thankful for the generations before us that carved the way and give us hope as women that we can do some things. And I think what I would want to especially say is I want women to know they don't have to sacrifice their family while they're pursuing their dreams, because that's what I found a lot when I was getting started. So many women had to sacrifice their family in order to climb the corporate ladders. And, what we want is to be able to have both of those things. When that does work, we want to still be able to have our family but sometimes the shift happens during different seasons of life. So anyway, but I'm thankful to be a pioneer, and I'm still pioneering.
Well, there you go. And I love that. And Mary Kay Ash, for those that don't know, is the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. And her story is truly inspirational. I'm sure she holds some records for like being one of the first billionaires. Anyways, of her time, she was definitely a trailblazer. Definitely. And broke some, like you said, some glass ceilings. Her business model was truly one to be modeled and edified for other women coming behind. Truly just a fantastic role model for all women business owners. And I think, and she put God first. That was one of the first things that whatever she did was going to be honoring to God, and then family. So that the business model made it so you didn't have to sacrifice your family to be able to make a good income. And then the third principle,
one of the things that I remember that she did that I applied early on is she used the golden rule principle. And, it's in the Bible, and it talks about treating other people the way that you would want to be treated. And she said that can help you solve even the toughest managerial things that you're trying to solve is to put yourself in that other person's seat. And so that's what I actually thought through that as I was building my business is how would a consignor feel? How would a shopper feel? How would one of my employees feel? And so, but she's the one who first taught me about that. And you're right, she did put God first. And that was a biblical principle that she pulled out. So I think everybody could apply that in their life and in their work.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And Dale Carnegie too had that as part of one of his golden rules too. He's like this 10, a little golden book, and there's like these 10 principles in there. And one of them is to make people feel like they are important, like because their name is super important. So remember people's names, and because it's the greatest sound in their ears is for someone to say their name. And so and treating people the way that you want to be treated is it is also within the concept of those 10 golden rules in his little golden book as well. So thank you so much for that reminder. And then we have a LinkedIn user who said that Mary Kay was a pioneer. Love that she made pink a power move.
She definitely did. And I'm wearing pink today. We still love pink.
I see that. As I was getting ready for the show, I was like, oh, because I caught a glimpse of you before I came on. And I was like, oh, dang, what do I have pink? Oh, I don't have anything. Let me throw on this blue dress.
I love blue too, Renee. I love blue. It's my next favorite color.
Awesome. But thank you for that LinkedIn user that, yes, she definitely was a pioneer and such a great role model for us and a great concept to keep in mind as we're building businesses as franchise owner operators. And so can you tell us a little bit, Rhea Lana, about if say it's me, I'm asking for a friend, but let's just say it's me. And I decide I want to look into and maybe become a Rhea Lana franchise owner operator. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I even start?
Well, it's really easy. You can find us anywhere. You can message us. I have a great team of women who several have been franchise owners or they are franchise owners. And so we just start a conversation. One of the things we have to look at is there a territory available? Because these are based on territories. And so there are some places where unfortunately we don't have availability, but there are many places that we do. You mentioned earlier, we're in 26 states, but we have many more places we would love to take Rhea Lana's because we just love serving families. And that's what our events do is they come into a community and they pull families together. And there is just something special. I'm actually still running our big flagship event here in Conway, Arkansas. It's actually going on right now, Renee. And we've had like 2,000 families that are selling their very best gently used items. And we're in this huge 100,000 square foot. It's kind of as big of as like a Walmart or a huge facility. And we make it all look like a beautiful marketplace, but they start out like babies. And that's where it's like being a mom. You start out, unless you adopt or you foster, most children come in like babies. And so you get to figure it out when they're small and then gradually they grow. And I would just say that if we're always would love to talk to someone, you can message us, email us. We're rhealana.com is our website and we're all over social media.
Wow, that is so great. And would I have to have like any educational qualifications or?
No,
I don't know.
That's a great question. That's a great question. And we have such a wide variety. We have some that didn't go to college. They maybe had their high school. I would think you need a high school diploma we'd want to see that. But we have everything from some graduate degrees, all different types of education. I think you have to be a person, though, that is willing to learn. No matter what your education status is, you have to be willing to learn and grow. And I would say we've had people in all different types of professions. Some are stay-at-home mom, like I was years ago, and then some are. We've had attorneys, or we've had teachers, or we've had nurses, and we have in every vocation you can imagine, because there are a lot of women who have been out on in the workforce, and they've been building careers. And what happens oftentimes is they have that baby. And if they've been getting on the plane and flying and doing the grind, it can be really hard to sustain that corporate job, while when you start then having children to take care of, depending on your network of support. And so that's where we love to come alongside women. And so sometimes women will have their other job, and then they will get a Rhea Lana's franchise and do it on the side. And as they're growing their Rhea Lana's franchise, they hope to get it to a point where then they can stop the corporate career. And we've had a lot of women who've been able to do that. And they might, it just gives women some options, especially if it's been very demanding and taken a lot of time away from their family. Our franchise opportunity gives more flexibility for women and for moms, which is, really what we're all wanting.
Right, absolutely. And now, where are some of those territories that you want to open a store where there aren't any yet?
Wow, I'd be here for a long time if I said that. But I could start off by saying Texas, Kentucky. We're opening a new one in Tennessee, but lots more in that market. We started out in the central part of the U.S., so that's where we're the heaviest, and we're gradually moving. We would love more in California or Arizona. Honestly, Virginia. We could just go around the globe, the map. But our strongest presence is there around Arkansas, as you can imagine, and then we've gradually growing out. And it's been really fun to see, moms, the U.S. is different as far as the South and the North, or the East and the West Coast, different cultures, sometimes even different styles of clothing, but moms are still the same. We're still the same. We want the best that we can provide for our families. And so that's what our events, we're able to help families be able to afford those nice brands, or the nice toys or shoes or clothes. And it's just really special.
Yeah. And so, have you ever sold a franchise to a man?
That is a great question, Renee. The answer is yes. Not very often, but one of our early franchises, honestly, I was just getting started, and his name was Terrence Iwamoto, and he called me from Honolulu, Hawaii, and he said, Rhea Lana, I want a franchise. And in my mind, I was thinking about, I don't know. He wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking
for his daughter, for his wife, or something.
Right. Well, but he had heard of us, and we were just getting started. He was an entrepreneur, and he really felt like the families in Hawaii needed this. And so I sold him a friend. He came to Conway, Arkansas, brought us all Lay's and macadamia nuts, and wore his Hawaiian shirt. And we all went out to Hawaii to help him launch his franchise. And I will always really appreciate Terrence, because he did that hard thing, and he no longer owns that franchise, but he and I stay in touch, and now some women own it that run it. But he was that entrepreneur visionary, and sometimes that's what it takes to just to even think about buying a franchise. But I will say this, Renee, one of the things that I love about franchising is, I think women, it can be hard to take a risk like that and do something on their own. But in franchising, you're doing business in community. And so it really feels a lot safer. And I think that's why I would, no matter if maybe some of your viewers would want to even think about other markets, but really think about franchising, because it is community. You're not just all by yourself. You've got someone to help you interpret your numbers and think about your marketing and think about just the strategic business decisions that you need to make. Because in a franchising system, everybody wants to be successful together. And there's a saying, and it goes, all boats rise with the rising tide. So, we all succeed together. And that's one of the fabulous things about franchising.
Yes. And I love that. I love that there's a whole community and everyone is for each other. And I love that. A rising tide. What?
It's all boats rise
with a rising tide.
There we go.
Thank you. Yes, our producers are amazing. Thank you. They listen better than I do. That is so true. And in franchising and outside of franchising, it's important to be supportive and have a support system surrounding you as you are growing this business, whether it's your own business or franchise that you decide to start. It is, and it could be both, you know,
Mhm.
who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And the way you explain it makes it seem so easy. Like not easy, but like it's a realistic. Like it's something that it could really happen. Like it could really work.
It is realistic. Now, we never want to overpromise. I will tell you this, when someone comes to us with franchising, wanting to buy a franchise, we are never going to oversell. Like we're not going to be that used car salesman that none of us want to talk to, because it is a realistic decision. And we would want any family to really consider it and make a great decision, and really think through, do they want to do the hard work to make it successful? Because that's ultimately what's going to make any business successful, is if you're willing to do the hard work.
Okay. And what is the hard work though? I mean, I shouldn't say I don't mean to trivialize or minimize, but what is the hard work that makes or breaks a successful franchise?
Well, in our world, it's getting out there. There's a lot of noise out there, and you've got to break through. You've got to get out there and invite people to join you. Come be part of my event that I'm building. And so I do think I see, especially maybe the younger generation who's grown up kind of behind a screen and with a phone. You got to put that down, and you've got to get out there and meet people and invite them and build relationships. It is very relationship driven. And yes, digital marketing is so important, and it's definitely part of our model too, but that can't be all of it. It's got to be building relationships and inviting and showing the value. So that's the part that I would just say is you can't just sit home behind a computer screen and think a business is going to build itself.
Right. So because it's mainly the foundation of its success is by creating events within your store, right?
Within your community. Yes,
Within
within
your
your
community. Yeah.
within your community. And the cool thing is that they do gain a lot of momentum. Like if you do a great job in the early years, you know how moms are. We tell our friends the things we love, and that's
Mhm.
how our events are. I mean, moms tell their friends about what a great experience they had at Rhea Lana's, and so it does have momentum, and they do build themselves. But
Mhm.
momentum doesn't start itself. You gotta get it going in the beginning to create this marketplace.
Right, right. I remember my friend who invited me to that clothing swap that I started out the show with. And after that first experience, because she created an event at her house with
Okay.
the clothing racks and all the pants in one section and the dresses in another section hanging on the racks, and then the athletic gear in another table, and another room of business suits and just different things. And it was so well done. I told everybody. So, and she did it in every April and every August, I think.
Oh.
And she was so successful. It's like one of the biggest fundraisers that she would do for
Wow.
breast cancer.
Mm.
And it was truly a wonderful experience. And I couldn't help but tell people about it because I got great stuff at this
Mm.
place that other people were just giving away. And I was like, okay, $20 in a bag of clothes. Yeah. And how many of you know there's, if you're cleaning out your closet, usually you have more than one bag of clothes.
Absolutely.
So I had a few bags of clothes to donate, but I'm just saying it was a wonderful experience, and it was easy for me to talk about it and share it so that the next event could be even bigger because of all the people that I would even bring them with me. Like, y'all, mark your calendar. We're going here on this day because this is a fantastic event and you all need to be there. And I would bring them with me. So, yeah. And so I get that
Yeah.
word of mouth, referrals and marketing and all the things, it works. It absolutely works. And it's easy to do when you've got a great product and a great a person to support.
Mm.
Right.
Yes, because I think as moms and grandmoms, very well
Yes.
said. We want our friends to experience the good things that we're experiencing. But in that
Right.
same regard, if we don't do a good job, people are also going to say those things, and so it keeps.
Mhm.
I know for me and my team, it keeps us on our toes and makes sure we're always treating customers right and doing a good job.
That's right, right, right. Well, I'm so excited for you. And so, as we get ready to wrap up, I cannot believe a whole hour has almost passed us by. We've covered so much great information, so many, and you've given us such hope, Rihanna, like truly such hope that things could look different for us, whether, now or in the future, whatever it looks like. So, if nobody remembers a single thing that you've said today or that I've said today, what principle should every mom turned entrepreneur embrace?
Hmm. I would say embrace that you can do hard things. That
Mm,
you
love that.
you you can do hard things and you can figure this out.
I love that.
And
You
those are things
can
I
do
still tell.
hard things.
Yeah, you can do
Mhm,
hard things and you can figure this out. And those are still things I'm telling myself every day, that you can do hard things and you can figure this out. And I just think that should give all of us hope because we can't. And as moms, that is what moms are doing every day anyway. They're doing hard
mhm,
things, they're
mhm.
figuring things out, and they're growing these little humans. And so
Yeah.
when you then transfer that into entrepreneurship, you're doing hard things, you're figuring things out, and then you're growing a business. And so moms have so much potential, and I want moms to have so much hope that they have so much to offer the world.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone has so many gifts that they may not have even known that are just inside them, waiting to be exposed. And all they need is a platform or an opportunity for them to shine. So I am so excited for you and your future franchise owner operators and what they get to do as they journey down this path with you. So, Rhea Lana, how can our listeners, and whether they're listening audio only or watching a replay later, how can they stay connected to you, learn more and about your journey and how to be successful in this business?
Renee, you can find us on LinkedIn. Rhea Lana Riner is my personal. I'm also Rhea Lana's. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram and we're on TikTok. So we are all over the socials and I have got a great team and we would just love to stay connected with you and help you in your journey.
Yes, and I love
Oh,
the color scheme. It's all pink.
yes,
It's very pink.
we love pink around here. We do.
I
And
love it.
we love making families happy.
Yes, and these stores, the footprint of these stores is huge. Holy moly. Is that like a standard? Do you need a certain square footage in order for this to work?
Well, no, because they start as babies. They really do. When
Okay.
they start
Okay.
off, they're maybe 5,000 square feet. It can be a little boutique because it's
Mhm.
wonderful to walk into a little boutique. So
Mhm.
but then they grow. They do grow, and then they turn into these huge, massive events. Again, we have some that have over 200,000 items. Like they're huge, massive. The one that we did here has 260,000 items. It's huge.
Oh my word. That's
But
a
families
lot of
come and
toys.
it is, the neat thing about it is a family can come and buy everything they need for all their children for the season. And so that's kind of
Mhm.
why we do that. Just like your friend did, we do them twice a year, once in the spring and then once in the fall. And thank you for
Mhm.
finding all those pictures. Those are some of our franchise owners and their stores.
Oh, so nice. I love these. And it looks like maybe not everything is just for kids. There could be some things in there for adults too? Or no, is it just
Well, we have a junior section, but here's what I would say. We all of us women love to shop in the junior section. And so there's some fun handbags and there's great shoes. Think about your downtown boutique. A lot of times we all go and shop in there. So we focus on just the trendy things that for sure the young people would buy. We're not really into adult clothing.
okay, got you. Got you. I love that. This is so fantastic. I love your social media presence on
Oh,
Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. Definitely, we want to make a note of these, and then we'll have these in the show notes as well, so that everyone can definitely stay in touch and learn more about what it could look like for them to become a franchise owner operator for Rhea Lana.
We would love that.
Awesome. Rhea Lana, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you, Renee.